Good evening. It's time for the visit. I find it really enjoyable to look forward to visiting with you from one week to another. And sometimes a lot of things happen during that week, and sometimes nothing happens at all. And Barbara McGuire, that you're so very familiar with, is here with me again today. And one of the reasons is that we find we have such an easy flow when we visit here together, and you're knowledgeable, and we sort of talk about the same things. And so we do appreciate, you know, you making room on your very, very busy schedule to come here as much as you do.
Oh, thank you.
And even in my home, you know, your regular drop-in, so to speak. I thought maybe today you could share, instead of me talking about artifacts and things, maybe today you could share something that your sister made?
Yes, my sister Spirit Wolff made this, and what it's used for is you do a lot of cleansing with sage. You know, you can go into someone's home and cleanse, and this just is a cleansing tool, so to speak. You know, you clean your auras with the sage smoke, and so we do cleansing with this. And this is a deer antler she carved, some symbols in it, and of course this is I'm not sure what kind of, I think this is a pheasant wing. So she's very talented that way.
Yes, she is.
She's very gifted.
So I thank you for sharing that with us. Today we're going to talk about, well, is that word? Indigenous people. And so what we're going to do is to give you a general idea who that is, and in our opinion, and that we could locate in modern day, you know. So we're going to show you some photographs and very briefly tell you who they are and which part of the world that they came from, to kind of give you an idea where we're going with this. So maybe we could be nice enough to run that first clip of all these wonderful people of the earth, and then we'll explain to you who they are. This is an Australian Aborigine, probably doing some ceremony.
And this is White Man Runs. Actually, it's White Man Runs Him.
These are Eskimos from the Alaskan part of the continent.
And this is a Crow Maiden with Doll. She's a little girl at this point.
These are Indo-Iranians, and they are natives to Pakistan.
And this is Jack Red Cloud's son.
And this is a Bhotia woman from Tibet.
And this is Little Horse. And he was Sioux.
And this lady is a Kenyan, not Africa, but of Malaysia.
This is Plenty Coos.
These are Aborigines of Australia.
And this is Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce.
And here are some Bedouins from my homeland, Algeria. They traveled to the desert.
And this is a Sioux war party.
These are Laplanders. They also come into the Nordic category.
And this is a Cheyenne Indian.
This is a native of the Amazons, South America.
This is Medicine Crow.
And these are houses in a Dogon village in Mali of Africa.
This was a treaty at Fort Laramie. They just signed the treaty there.
And here again are the Dogon of Mali, some of the indigenous people. So we kind of have given you a general idea. I think we sort of want to tell you where we're going with this, actually. With the things that we know, you know, naturally, psychically, and with a little research, the reason we had picked those groups of people, it turns out they all claim ancestry to the stars.
That's right. They all believe they were seeded by extraterrestrials or had come here actually from the stars themselves.
I know more about the African part of this, and then of course you're more the native, so maybe we can sort of try to sort it out. And you know, the best way to do this, there is a lady named Marla Morgan and a Dr. Wolff. They spend a lot of time with the Australian Aborigines, and thanks to my friend Brenda and show that she does Journey, I think maybe we will let, we play a clip from that and go to the Australian Aborigines first. So
okay.
We could play that clip and have the expert explain that, because they have lived with these people. And then we'll go to the rest of them.
Outback of Australia. And then joining her will be Robert Wolff, who lived for years with indigenous folk. Much like the real people in Australia, they know how to live in harmony and balance with nature.
Really believe they are real. Their name translated to me to be first, original, unchanged, or real. I chose to use the word real people in the book, but actually you can use any of those phrases. And they do think that we have changed, and the name that they referred to me as was mutant.
Right.
Because they do believe that a part of the very core of human beingness has been lost in our society. And these are wonderful people. They don't judge us. They observe us.
Even the name was not derogatory in any way. It was a very loving way. It came across in the book that
they refer to themselves as people who think in oneness, and they believe that mutants think in separateness. And that's not a derogatory thing, it's an observation. That's just the way that it is. But they really feel that spirituality is based upon thinking in oneness. And that when you think in separateness, you think in terms of lack, limitation, that your society is based upon people having to prove their worth. In their society, every baby is worthy when it's born. You don't have to prove yourself. So they don't have the types of measurements that we have, that one person is smarter than another, or one person is has achieved more than another, one person is more valuable, one person should be paid more than somebody else, because they believe everyone is a valuable person, and that we all have unique qualities about us that should be incorporated in the society and should be nurtured and loved and rewarded and so forth in that way. But they don't really think in terms of separateness, and they do think that's a quality of mutantism.
Right, and they have a wonderful trusting. And who is it that
I think it's bigger than trust.
Trust.
I think it's bigger than trust.
Knowing that you're a part of it. You know, that we're all one.
That's the word to me. I think trust and belief is back there about 50 miles with these people, and the word is no. They absolutely know. They know where they came from, they know where they're going, they know who they are, they know why they're here, they know what life is all about, they know their relationship to the environment, to each other, to their community, and they live life. They don't talk about it.
That's right.
They live it.
And each day is a new leaf, and you look, wow, you know, this is wonderful.
And every day is a successful day.
Every day is exciting and new and different.
Yeah, wonderful.
You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Everybody around. And so whether they're carried or loved by this person or this person is not important. because somebody always is around the children. And you know, you can imagine what it would be to grow up knowing, not feeling, but knowing that you are loved, truly loved by a lot of people.
Right.
You know, without any conditions. It's not like, if you do this, then I love you. I mean, they're loved because they are there.
Right. These people believe that actually just being born is proof enough that you are worthy, that you have dignity and respect and something to give just because you are a human being. That's all it takes in order to, you know, to receive this kind of care. And they also don't think that you can love a child too much. That really isn't possible.
There's no spoiling going on there.
Well, no, it isn't, because there aren't things involved. They believe that you can give a child too many things in order to have them feel happy. But if you do that, then when their thing breaks, they're unhappy. And they really believe that that's a part of what's happened to us, is that we don't allow our young people to create happiness. So they don't even know what it is to create happiness. They think it's attached to a thing.
A very small baby had died, and they invited us to go to the funeral, I guess we would say. It was very, very simple. Everything they do, the people that I knew, everything they do was extremely simple. But the man who was, he held his baby and he put her in this little grave, in a box actually, like a shoebox, in this little grave. And he made this very wonderful, very simple speech. He said to her, you know, it's too bad that you made this long journey, 9 months, and you come here and you have to you'd have to turn around again. But he said, I know that's the way it is. And then he took a little pinch of dirt and he put it on this baby's mouth, and he said, you know, this is dirt. If you had lived longer, you would have tasted it. This is what the world is about. This is what the world is like. And since you haven't tasted it, I'm giving it to you now. This is a little pinch of dirt to give you taste, just, you know, of the 2 days that you've been here. It was very moving and so simple.
Yes.
And then he turned his face up, and there were some young men standing over here, and they were the ones who had dug this little hole. And he said, you guys, listen, you have to do this after I'm dead. You have to do these things. Yeah, this is part of an ongoing thing. I mean, it's not just, it wasn't just him, but it was, this is how you deal with death. This is how you deal with life and death. The people I knew, and this is what I found out when I was studying native healers in many different places, they really think of death as part of life. You know, it's not, to us it is the end of life. It's something separate. It's something dangerous, awful, to be feared.
Yeah, we're in fear of that.
And they don't really believe that, you know. There's just part of this circle. I mean, the cycle, you know, it goes on. I mean, you can't have life without death.
I think, you know, Marla.
You know, when, just to think that when the missionaries arrived in Australia, to think that they were savages and there wasn't anything they could teach them, sort of.
I know.
A little funny, huh?
They're probably one of the most highly evolved people on our planet at this time, the Aborigines, because they do live the way, you know, that they feel the Creator has told them to do.
I did try to get Dr. Wolff's phone number, and I had an old one, and I spent several days looking for him. But after he lived with the Aborigines, he just picks up and goes places, kind of like I do sometimes. Yeah. Except he doesn't return to home base. He just keeps going. So I wasn't able to do that for you, but I believe his book is in the bookstores. And of course, Marla Morgan, she has a wonderful website, and she's really worth looking into. The Mutant Message Down Under, and she has a new novel. I don't know the name of it, but just a wonderful person. Let's see, where should we go next? We could go to the Egyptians, maybe.
Okay.
One of the things that I found in the late 60s, I made a research on races and people, very prophetically, probably because I need it now. And one of the things that I came across is that there originally were 4 languages spoken on Earth, and they all have a clicking sound like this. And to this day, that the Dogons have that, the Zulus, the Hottentots, and the Bushmen of the Kalahari. Now, the easiest way to double check on what I'm talking about here, there is a movie, it's called The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Oh, yes.
Real funny movie, and there you can see that clicking sound that they make. And it is the Dogons, the Zulus, and the Hottentots that have connection to Cyrus.
To the constellation.
To the constellation Cyrus. They, in their mythology, it talked about a dwarf star that was following Cyrus. They do everything in 60-year cycles. And it wasn't until the 20th century that modern man actually discovered Cyrus.
That they know what they're talking about.
And then, of course, I happen to have a grandson by that name.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the name that he wanted, and we was very happy about that. Now, you are more familiar with the Pleiades.
Yeah, well, yes, fairly familiar with the Pleiades. I believe that the, I don't know if the Navajo, believe they're from there, from that area, and I believe the Apache, the Sioux also. So they all have a feeling of their origin and where they were from, and they use it in their when they're telling their stories. You know, they've been telling about it for a long time, thousands of years.
Now the Maoris of New Zealand, which are also, I believe, I think they come in the Aboriginal category, would you say?
Yes, they're more Aboriginal, I think, than Indian, than the Indian.
I found their culture and that of the Navajo to be almost identical. Here's that big word, they are matriarchic. Did I say that right?
Matriarchal.
What that means is that the women are in charge is a...
Right, in the high seats of...
in seats,
yeah.
And the Mohawks were like that also, they were.
Yes, they had their women were in the high councils.
And so here there is a lot of similarities from all corners of the earth. Some of the Nordics, like the Laplanders, for instance, shamanism is their basics for everything.
Oh yes, yeah, they have some very powerful shamans, as a matter of fact. I heard once, and I can't remember exactly where I heard it, but that actually the Eskimo people were not indigenous to Alaska. You know. No, they were put there by someone, and it's in their history. So, you know, you kind of wonder where they were uprooted from, but they were supposed to be in some warmer climate at one time. And who knows who put them there, but it's been quite a while ago.
Yeah, well, to go back to the pictures that we saw earlier, some of the features and some of the beliefs, that's actually pretty close to some of the Nordics, like the Laplanders. I'm a little familiar with them, that's why I keep making reference to them. For instance, if a shaman dies, you know, you bury their drum with them.
Oh yes.
You know, so it's
well, they travel through their drums. They do their astral traveling through their drums, so yeah, they would bury it with them.
And then the original Egyptian legends. Now, this is according to my mother, that was very knowledgeable, and I'm sure that there is different stories in different countries. And according to my mother, and the things that she had been told, were we have a connection to, here again, back to the star Cyrus, and actually Sirius.
It's Sirius.
I'm sorry, we call it little boy Cyrus. It's Sirius, I'm sorry, that's the proper word. And where the Neanderthaler and the star people, they didn't really intermingle. It was more of a
genetic,
I can't say that word, like a
Genetic manipulation of their genes, you mean?
Yeah, like in modern day we have
In
vitreous.
Yeah, in vitro fertilization.
That's the one. Yeah. So basically, that's what happened there. And out that came the original people of Egypt. And that's
well, your mother was half Egyptian, correct?
Yeah, one of my grandmothers was
One of your
Egyptian,
grandmother was Egyptian, okay.
And the rest of it, we also have a lot of Ethiopian.
Yes.
Which goes, you know, exactly that way. And then, of course, my mother, I think she came in a category all by herself. So.
Yeah, I think she did too.
So those things run in families, you know.
An exceptional person.
And then the Bushmen of the Kalahari, I think, were, again, I really would encourage you to get that movie, you know.
It is a good movie.
And I would think some of their basics is very much like that of the Australian Aborigines.
It is,
Now, whether the spiritual aspect of that is the same, I really don't know that.
I feel that from what I've heard of the Bushmen, they're very spiritual. They don't speak about it as much, though. They're so busy getting their food from day to day that they probably don't have a lot of time, and they do word of mouth, so they do carry their stories by a storyteller most of the time.
Yeah,
right.
And hopefully we're going to have some visitors that'll just go into the storytelling aspect of this. It's just like Marla and Dr. Wolff said, they don't really need to figure out anything. It's a knowing. They know this is how it is, and this is how it is.
They accept it, absolutely.
Yeah, and
the thing I like is the indigenous people, the people who have been so true to their land and their beliefs, are so peaceful. That most of them are very peaceful people, very calm people, very knowing, and we should really look at these people differently than we do. And I've also noticed that a lot of indigenous people are they don't have their land anymore. Like the Native Americans were herded around and put someplace where they didn't want to be, but they still make the best of it, and they keep their faith and their stories alive, and so not everybody is treated the way they should be. And if we had a different system of valuing people in this country and in other countries, we would see the importance of all these things that these people are doing.
Yeah, like Marla said, that when the first white people arrived and they beat their children, they just couldn't understand why you would do this to a child.
Right.
Right. And they just thought that to be odd. And now it's like they're rounding them up and they're putting them in prisons. That's just like a death sentence.
It is.
You can't take people like that and just...
No, you can't.
Put them in prison,
I don't see how they can justify that at all. But it happened here, and...
Exactly.
Ethnic cleansing has been going on way too long in this world.
That's a good time to give the date. The date when we're taping this is April the 12th. The 12th, and so on April the 12th, we're in the middle of this ugliness in Yugoslavia.
Yes.
Yeah. So by principle, that just isn't acceptable, And also, I want to say that even though we tape these shows, feel free to call in while they are airing, because someone is by the phone and we can't answer your questions then or later,
Yes,
Also, sometimes we make mistakes or we just don't know something.
That's right.
So feel free to, to add your knowledge to ours, and we can double back and...
rectify if we've made a mistake. We definitely would want to do that.
And if there's something that's of interest to you, we'll double back and get more information. I'll try to bring people, that you would be interested in. Now, from what I understand, the Mayans also acknowledge the Pleiades, no?
Yes, I believe they do. Their temples were aligned for that star system, I think. Yeah.
And believe it or not, their pyramids and their temples were almost identical to those of the Egyptians.
Especially the step ones that the Egyptians tried to do later.
Exactly. And then here we can double back on Richard Hoagland and the face on Mars, and you have pyramids there too. So here again, you know, we want to be so modern and so technical. And if you really have an open mind and you look at some of these things by logic, not even historical, there's too many coincidences in the stories, you know, not to fit together.
That's right. People of such diverse land areas have the same belief systems, and in the ancient days they didn't meet each other, but they still had these beliefs, so something was feeding them these beliefs. And well, of course, we believe that there were visitors doing that a lot of times too, telling them where they were from and where they originated from.
Also, there is a similarity in blood types. There are certain blood types that regions have and people have. Not so much, it's not confined to races, it's just confined to certain types of people. And I was looking at this book one day, and while I was looking for the blood type, because being intuitive, I seem to have this knack for knowing people's blood type. I'm going to go off a little bit here and share a funny little story that you probably remember. We was at a psychic fair at the Thai. There was a lady that did
readings. Right?
No, she sold enzymes of some sort.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then, in order to determine what the person needed, you know, for the healing of the enzyme, she would get one drop of blood, and then she put it on the screen.
Right.
And you had all these little blood things just floating all over. And we was a little bored.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "There you go, Lillian, read that."
That's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And so I did.
Yeah, you did.
And when it was all over, we you know, of course, her slides had names on it. So we asked the people to come and see how close we were. So that probably proves the point that there are similarities in even on a psychic level, you know.
That's true.
And star people usually have, their blood is a little different than everybody else. So now I'm going to come at it back this way, okay?
Okay.
As I was reading this book looking for the blood types, I ran into a little passage where it showed that sometimes they would find rocks in one area, maybe one or two, and then no more of that nature till maybe 12 miles down the road. And 12 miles walking is quite a ways.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, they would carry one thing from here and then take it somewhere else.
Yeah. I heard that the people with the negative blood, they don't have the rhesus, you know, the Rh positive, are supposed to be from the star people, actually. Yeah. Which is pretty interesting because I'm negative.
Yeah, well, it's just, well, of course. Of course, there's a real pattern there. And so we think that's exciting, and like I said, scientifically, I don't know if we can back that up, but in our travels, I mean, it's just like clockwork. You just ask a person, you know, and you can
exactly.
pinpoint it down to
pretty good
down to the blood type. I did a show with a young man named Zechariah, and he was playing the didgeridoo. And we was talking about going places and doing things, and I said that when I was a little girl, I always wanted to go to Madagascar, And I got so sad. You could actually, you know, hear it in my voice. I know they have things in Madagascar we have nowhere else on Earth.
That's right.
So if we put our energies together and you and me go to Madagascar and
Okay.
find out what they got.
Sure, let's do that. That sounds like fun.
You are more familiar, like I said, with the Native American scene than I am. I spent time with the Navajos and the Hopis, and of course, I mean, I wasn't a tourist, but most of the things, you know, are not up for discussion.
That's right.
So in the front there is the drum that I had shared with you. I bought it in Salt Lake, and Spirit Wolff eventually finished it for me.
Finish it for you.
And so are there any things that maybe you could share from the Native American point of view that we can draw similarities?
Well, it seems like the Native Americans, you know, Eisenhower tried to do something with the Native Americans. He tried to get rid of all the reservations. He wanted everybody to mingle, you know. And they started to do that, some of them did. Some of the Native Americans did. They started to leave the reservations. Oh, wow, we can go out and do whatever we want to do. Well, then they realized that if they did that, they would lose their culture altogether, which I'm sure was Eisenhower's plan in the first place. So they very wisely went back to the reservations and kept their philosophies and their knowledge and their oneness. They kept it intact. Otherwise, they would have lost everything if they had gone out and done what Eisenhower said. So I think that people who, like the Native Americans, have a duty almost, you know, to keep these things alive, to keep our past alive, because we can get lost in our modern technologies and our modern ways of thinking, and you know, we think that we're doing really great, but as far as spirituality goes, we're losing it a little bit here, you know.
I believe one of the reasons that the Native Americans mixed with the Africans was really a matter of survival.
Yes, it was. It was the Cherokee. They had the smallpox,
Exactly.
and they couldn't. They were totally going to be consumed by it, and they started mating with the. I don't know how else to say
Africans,
it.
Yeah.
With the African slaves, and the blood just, you know, they were pretty much immune to it. They had the antibodies in their blood.
Exactly.
So they did save the Cherokee Nation that way.
And so it seems at the time, you know, there's always the reason and the real reason. And now, you know, in my travels, you find that people that is of a mixture, they have a spiritual part from these people and a spiritual part from that people. And somewhere along the line in your genes, in your being, like Marla said, and in my book I spelled being, B-E-E-I-N-G, because I wanted to separate that from normal things. So in your being, not only is it the physical features and genes that you get, you also get part of that spirituality.
Yes, you do. Yes, I don't think you lose the essence of that when you when you've known something, you know. And I of course I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that we take a lot of that with us too. That knowingness, you know. If we don't allow ourselves to be inundated by all the things, like they say, we can let our oneness and our spirituality come out more and do a lot more with it than. I mean, we have to evolve on this planet, and we're not doing a very good job of it, because all the people that are evolved, we've either put away or done something with, and we're not learning what we need to learn to save our planet, and we need to do this.
Now to get to Lapsang Rampa, he just kind of gets into conversation
Yes,
sometimes.
he does.
Out of the blue. He was the Tibetan Lama
and doctor.
And doctor that wrote all these books. And we're going to dedicate a whole hour just to
him.
To Lapsang Rampa one time. But he was talking about that when we get to this point in our being and our time, that we have to be able to call on everything available to us, spiritually and otherwise. And he said we would recognize a lot of these times because of the brown race.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when you compare cultures and belief systems, and all of a sudden they are so close and so identical, you just shake your head.
Yes, you do. You do. Of course, we all are one.
Exactly.
This is why the Aborigines do so well in their land and everything. I mean, we are all one. There is no separateness from us. You know, if we can just realize that, quit trying to say I'm better than you, or you know, you're better than me, or whatever, and realize our oneness. And I mean, we all come from the same place. Mm-hmm. We're all created by the same Creator. There is no separateness there. If we could get that into our minds and quit doing this petty stuff that we do, we can evolve so well on this planet. Mm-hmm. I mean, why must we do everything with viciousness and, you know, I mean, what's going on in the world now is just disgusting. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, the true people, the people who really do have it down to what it really is, mm-hmm. are being driven out. Being driven out of their land, being driven out of society, being driven out of everything.
I'm going to get back to that movie.
Okay.
The Gods Must Be Crazy again. Here is this bushman, you know, these tribal people, and someone drops a Coke bottle out of a plane, and that's what the movie's all about. And he finds out the bottle is not really what they need because it causes a lot of disturbances within the people. So he decides to take the bottle and throw it off the earth, you know.
Right, off the end of the earth.
Excuse me. We're not going to do the coffee thing again, but excuse me. So what happens is, I like the way they put that together. You see the jungle here, the jungle over here, and then you see everybody else's jungle. They have to get up at 7 o'clock, and then at 7:15 they drive in, and at 8 o'clock they have to look busy, and so on and so on, and shows that we all, well, we're sort of in bondage, you know.
Well, we're in tremendous bondage. I mean, tremendous. We have put ourselves under such stress. These Native Americans and Native peoples of the world do not have stress. They didn't know what stress was until, you know, certain people started pushing them around a little bit. And they didn't have stress. They didn't worry about anything. And it's a constant stress and worry that we've got ourselves into.
Well, from what I understand, the Mayans, now, it was a real ancient culture. They were very spiritual, but they were pretty savage at times. I mean, they did sacrifices, and so maybe they had a little stress. You think?
Well, they're not here anymore either, are they? So, you know, the Aztecs either. They were pretty bloody people. The Aztecs were.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that. So we don't make you believe that just because you're an indigenous person, you have to be tranquil.
No, that's right. No, and we do realize you have to live in the world, and we've forced it, actually. Yeah. Everyone now has to partake in our stress because this is the way we've laid our world out, you know.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how we would feel if the bombs were falling over here. Now, what would we do, you know?
I don't think as an American people, the majority of people comprehend what that means.
They don't.
I come from a place that we do, you see. And also, I consider myself an indigenous person. And like Marla said, trust and, what was the second one? Trust and, what was the second one?
I forgot, I'm sorry.
It's trust and belief. That's what
yes,
you call it. It's 50 miles that way. And that applies to me. But for about the last 10 miles, there is, every day there's stress, 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 right. Because it's very hard to be in that mind frame. And at the same token...
Well, we can't in our society. That's the whole trouble.
It's very hard.
That's the trouble. We cannot do that unless we have a way of having our funds come in without going to work every single day and putting ourselves under all that, you know, all the stress and strain that we do. We set ourselves up not to be able to do that. So I don't know, you know, I mean, I look at the Aborigines and I think, you know, I wish they would just leave them alone and let them be the people that they've been for 30,000 years over there. You know, I mean, those people lived a long time in that way.
I'm aware of one whole tribe that decided they wanted to leave, so they consciously chose not to have children. And here again, knowing who you are, what it is you're supposed to do, imagine just as a whole tribe, as a nation, to say, you know, it's time for us to go home now.
We're not going to. I think that's fantastic.
As a whole, and you try something like that in modern society, and there would be at least somebody that said, no, I don't think so.
Right.
You know.
Oh, well, we would never all agree on anything.
No.
We can't agree on it. We can't agree on where to go eat, let alone what to do with our spiritual selves. I mean, even our religions are so diverse and so different and so many that we all think differently about it. It's tragic.
But we at a time now, in my opinion, that we're really going backwards let me clarify that. In our spiritual mindset, we have to get back to basics and to the oneness and how it really is. Because if we don't unhook some of this organized, learned behavior,
and there we are.
You know, we're going to be in trouble as a whole.
We're already in trouble as a whole, actually. We are. We're in trouble.
So take the time to talk to people about that. Don't be judgmental.
That's right.
That's one of the things that sort of bothers me a little bit, because people always want to challenge you, and that's not necessary. This is a time of sharing.
That's right. Let's share. Let's be sure of what we're doing. Let's realize we all come from one place, one being, one, you know, we're all just one, and there isn't any need for all of this separateness that we feel we have to have.
There is a Maori, did I say that right? A Maori elder, his name is Mark Ruka. He comes to Olympia occasionally. I'm not sure if he comes to Alaska, to Anchorage, but if you ever get a chance to listen to him speak, he is just awesome. He gives some backgrounds of their basic belief system. He will probably say to you, "So nice to see you again," and meaning that, you know, we have been here as a whole. We have been here a long time. Not necessarily that he thinks he saw you yesterday.
Right.
He explains very deep subjects in a very loving way, and he has a walking stick, and that he carries with him. And one day, I asked him. I said, you know, what's the thing on your stick here? And he said, this is my encyclopedia. This is the way I access my knowledge. And you know, like we'll use crystals and things.
Right.
and the knowledge that this gentleman has. So anytime you see somebody that's a little different, at any given day you can go downtown Olympia and talk to some of the what we consider homeless people or street people. The things you learn and the things you find out.
Absolutely.
So I'm not really sure where we was going with the whole thing. I think we started out very ancient, brought it in modern times, and now we're trying to show you how to go forward, but double back at the same time.
That's right.
Did I say that right?
Well, yeah, you did. It's complicated, but you did. Because we need to understand why this isn't working. You know, why people are so unhappy and why they're so stressed and why the world is in the condition it is. And there's a lot of selfishness out there, a lot of untruth, you know, things that aren't necessary.
And if you have a chance to go to a powwow, children enjoy it, and
children
I'm
love it.
sure you'll walk away with something, even though it's not exactly visible, you know.
Absolutely. The powwows have a lot of energy because everybody thinks the same. And when people think the same, the energy is a millionfold from what it would be if just one was doing it.
And Star people recognize each other in some ways.
Yes, they do.
There's a knowingness. I don't think we want to explain it at this time. Let's make that a whole new subject because it is, that's a little involved. What we mean by star people is some of us that recognize that on a spiritual level, we just happen to
pick this planet this time.
At this time, and we have a way of recognizing one another. And like I said in one of the shows, if we had a bouquet of flowers and they was all white or blue or red, they would be very beautiful. But when you add all the colors and all the species, what a great bouquet we got.
That's
here,
right. It's beautiful.
So if we can sort of love each other, and
that's the whole key. Love each other. Doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, where you come from, where you've been.
And if anybody's out there that has some unusual roots, you know, or a family tree that you know about, feel free to share it, because I think it would be kind of fun to sometimes have a guest and just tell their story, you know, and not as a whole in 1 hour to put the people of the earth in a flower pot. That's not so good. But if you have some individual stories to tell or family trees to share with us, we would really be grateful to do that.
That's right.
And it's good for the children too, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, the children are, like I said before, with special children coming in, and they need special people leading them a little bit.
And I'm very happy to see that schools are more open-minded in the things that they teach.
They're getting much better than they were.
I mentioned on another show that I heard that there are 71 languages spoken in Seattle.
Oh, gee.
And that's wonderful.
That's a lot.
So I don't think we can really, I can trace my physical roots back to the beginning. I can go as far as 1300, you know, thanks to my mother that documented these things. Almost everywhere you go, everything is set up on an exchange system. You know, whether it's monetary or it's a trading, and I think that's how the whole world was set up at one time.
The barter system.
The barter system. So when you borrow things from people, sometimes even energy is, you know, like you can have a really good day and you're happy, and knock, knock, here comes a person. There's a, how are you? Like that.
Right.
And next thing you know, they're all happy. They all cheered up, and you're just totally drained.
That's right.
In some kind of way, that's not a fair exchange, would you say?
No, I wouldn't say it is.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So mind-wise, go back to equal opportunity, to sharing, to loving, to...
Well, sharing's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they're taking your energy, then they've taken it. They haven't shared their energy with you, so...
They're not even
That
giving it to
wouldn't-
the next person.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No.
So there's a lot of similarities that we have as Earth people, as human beings, with 2 E's. And hope we kind of put some ideas in your beingness, you know, where you ask some questions. And anything you'd like to share, Will, on a personal maybe?
Well, just that, well, I don't really know. I guess I don't want to overstate the fact that we are all one person. We all are all sharing the same thing. And we need to realize that and recognize that in each other, I think.
Mm-hmm. So there are great books out there that give you histories on tribes and people and where we came from, our origin, from a traditional and earthly point. And then there are also books that give you history and traditions from the stars. And one of those would be the Sirius Mystery. I don't know who wrote it. Randolph Winters wrote a series, a book on the Pleiades.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Messiniak wrote Bring Us Off the Dawn and Earth. And so just for the fun of it, maybe you could put it all together and come up with your own creative stories and see what fits you. And
I think Brad Steiger's written on the starseed people.
Yes, he has, yeah. And so there are some basic questions that he asks, and of course it doesn't apply to everybody,
No.
but it's just kind of fun. You buy the tabloids and you do a quiz, so you might as well do a quiz on that. And time just flew by here like crazy,
Yes,
so
it
it's almost time for us to, you know, to leave again. And the weather has improved, and we feel a lot better. And hopefully by the time that this airs, the war will be over and some lives will have been saved. And open your heart in your love, and just be good to your fellow man, and just be good to yourself. And so I think we sort of want to bid everybody goodbye.
That's right. Wish everyone to have a good life and share with each other, I think, don't you?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm so glad that you took time out of your schedule.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Yeah.